Imagine you're pulling up to a drive-thru after a long day. You know exactly what you want, the menu lights up, a calm synthetic voice greets you, and this is supposed to be the future. Faster orders, fewer mistakes, less human friction. But then it asks you what you'd like to drink, you answer clearly, and somehow you end up with bacon on your dessert or hundreds of dollars worth of food you never ordered. That's not a sci-fi skit. That's real life in 2024 and 2025. Over the last few years, major fast food chains across the United States quietly rolled out AI voice systems in hundreds of locations. Taco Bell tested them at more than 500 stores. McDonald's tried them in drive-thrus. The promise was simple: reduce errors, move lines faster, save money. But the reality was messy. Customers posted clips of AI mishearing basic words, inventing items, or adding absurd extras to orders. In some cases, the systems were so unreliable that companies pulled the plug entirely. Taco Bell's own chief technology officer admitted something that perfectly sums up where consumer AI stands today. Sometimes it's impressive, and sometimes it completely lets you down. That single sentence captures the uncomfortable truth about generative AI in the real world. Most of the time it works. A small but critical percentage of the time, it confidently gets things wrong. And that small percentage is where the trouble starts. This tension exploded into the spotlight after a recent MIT study surveyed hundreds of executives and employees about real AI deployments inside companies. The headline number shocked the market. Only about 5% of generative AI pilots were producing serious financial value. The other 95% showed little to no measurable impact on profits. Investors panicked. Major AI-linked stocks dipped sharply. Billions in market value vanished in days. At first glance, it looked like proof that AI was failing. But when you dig deeper, the story is more complicated and, frankly, more interesting. We've already seen AI disrupt entry-level jobs, especially in creative and administrative roles. That part is real. But we've also seen something else happening quietly behind the scenes. Companies that rushed to replace people with AI often discovered that the technology wasn't ready to stand on its own. Instead of saving time, it created new work. Instead of reducing errors, it introduced new kinds of risk. To understand why this keeps happening, you have to understand how today's AI actually works. Nearly every large language model in use today traces its roots back to a breakthrough paper published in 2017. That paper introduced a new way for machines to process language by focusing attention on relationships between words. This architecture unlocked an explosion of progress. It gave us chatbots, code generators, image models, and tools that feel uncannily intelligent. But there's a fundamental limitation baked into this approach. These systems don't know things the way humans do. They predict what comes next based on patterns. When they don't know, they don't stop. They guess, and those guesses can sound extremely confident. This is what researchers call hallucinations. Now picture this from a business perspective. You deploy AI to summarize meetings, fill out documents, schedule staff, or handle customer queries. Everything looks fine at first. Productivity appears to go up. Then someone notices a mistake. Then another. Eventually, you realize the system is quietly inventing a small percentage of its output. The worst part? You can't easily tell which parts are wrong. So humans step back in. Employees double-check summaries, teams verify schedules, managers review outputs line by line. The AI doesn't remove work, it shifts it. Sometimes it multiplies it. This isn't theoretical. Workers have been talking about it openly. People describe AI tools that were sold as lifesavers but ended up creating more stress. Scheduling systems that required constant supervision. File sorting tools in medical settings that mixed up names, dates of birth, or even confused doctors with patients. Meeting note generators that confidently inserted sentences nobody ever said. In environments where precision matters, even a 5% error rate is unacceptable, especially when the errors look believable. It's no surprise, then, that many companies are quietly reversing course. Surveys suggest that more than half of businesses regret replacing people with AI too quickly. Some banks and service companies laid off staff, rolled out chatbots, and then found themselves scrambling to rehire humans when customer satisfaction collapsed. One major service company cut its workforce nearly in half after betting heavily on AI automation. On paper, The bots replaced hundreds of employees. In reality, customers hated the experience. Service quality dropped. Human interaction turned out to be irreplaceable. And this leads to a crucial point that often gets lost in the hype. AI is excellent at assisting humans. It's great at speeding up repetitive tasks, drafting first versions, and handling low-risk work. But on its own, it doesn't invent the next generation of products or strategies. It doesn't understand context the way people do. Still, this isn't the whole story. Because while many companies struggle, others are quietly thriving with AI. The same MIT research that highlighted widespread disappointment also found a small group of companies doing exceptionally well. These weren't organizations slapping AI onto every workflow. They were highly focused teams solving one specific problem extremely well. Often young startups, sometimes led by founders barely out of their teens, going from zero to tens of millions in revenue in a single year. The difference wasn't the technology itself, it was how it was used. Companies that partnered with specialized AI vendors and integrated tools carefully succeeded far more often than those trying to build everything internally. Precision mattered. Scope mattered. AI worked best when it was narrow, supervised, and designed around real human workflows. All of this points to a bigger truth. We're still early. Very early. History gives us a useful comparison. In the 1990s, during the dot-com boom, simply adding .com to a company name was enough to send valuations soaring. Investors didn't fully understand the technology. They just knew it felt inevitable. Many of those companies had no real business model. When reality set in, the crash wiped most of them out. Only a handful survived and became today's tech giants. Now look at AI. Massive expectations, massive spending, massive valuations. Companies are buying tens of thousands of high-end GPUs that cost as much as luxury cars. Data centers are expanding at unprecedented rates. AI-driven demand has pushed U.S. electricity consumption noticeably higher. Analysts project trillions of dollars in infrastructure investment over the next few years, much of it financed by debt. The assumption is that AI will slash costs, boost productivity, and unlock enormous economic value. But if real-world deployments continue to underdeliver, that assumption starts to crack. We're already seeing warning signs. Highly anticipated model releases that feel incremental rather than revolutionary. Public skepticism growing louder. Complaints about AI-generated junk flooding the internet. Tools that agree with users even when they're wrong. Systems that sound persuasive but lack grounding. If progress stalls, several things could happen. Executives grow frustrated with poor returns. The narrative around artificial general intelligence gets quietly walked back. Venture capital becomes more cautious. Running massive AI systems becomes harder to justify without dramatic efficiency gains. And then, after a period of disappointment, something new emerges. A breakthrough architecture, a different approach, a solution to hallucinations that nobody saw coming. This pattern isn't new. It's been mapped before. There's even a name for it. The technology hype cycle. New ideas trigger excitement. Expectations inflate. Reality disappoints. Confidence dips. And finally, real value emerges once the technology matures. The big question is where we are right now. Are we at the peak of inflated expectations, sliding into disillusionment, or quietly climbing towards something more sustainable? What's certain is this. Nobody truly knows where AI goes next. Not the CEOs, not the investors, not even the people building the models. And that uncertainty is the most honest thing about artificial intelligence today.